Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here at Game from Scratch, and welcome back to the ongoing saga of trillionaires fighting billionaires. Yes, this is the Epic Games versus Apple battle that has been going on since August the 14th, and we've got a bit of an update. And the update went exactly as I was expecting it, and probably went as good as you could expect for game developers. But first, a little bit of quick backstory. Back on August the 14th, Epic Games launched a lawsuit against the Apple App Store after Apple pulled Fortnite. Now, Apple pulled Fortnite from the App Store because Epic started adding in-app purchases, and this was in violation of the terms and services for being on Apple platforms. So on the iOS store, you want to sell an iOS store, you have to also use their in-app purchasing system. Now, Epic is arguing that this is antitrust. You can't have you take one monopoly, which would be the exclusive access to iOS hardware, and tie it to another monopoly, the iOS in-app purchasing system. So that is the crux of what Epic Games are ultimately arguing here. And there's no question in this move, Epic was expecting to get Fortnite pulled. They expected this to happen. The lawsuit was ready to go. And basically, you have to have some skin in the game before you can launch an antitrust kind of lawsuit. So this was a step that Epic was going to make. The fact that Fortnite was pulled shocked nobody. However, right after, Apple went kind of thermonuclear and they pulled Epic's development keys completely. This meant that you couldn't update Fortnite anymore, obviously, but you also couldn't update Unreal Engine, both on macOS and on iOS. So people that are using macOS to create their games for Apple products or Apple platforms, suddenly they would either have to build Unreal Engine themselves. I think this would have gotten around the problem, but I'm not 100% certain, to be honest, or they were out of luck. So basically, it was making it so that Apple products were unavailable to Unreal Engine users. And this kind of went above and beyond just the lawsuit here. It was going to tangibly hurt all of the people using Unreal Engine for Apple platforms. You would have basically had to make the decision, do I stick with Unreal Engine or do I stop targeting Apple platforms? And given the activities recently, that is not a clear-cut decision to make. However, at the end of this, Epic Games actually filed a restraining order to go to court, and that's where we stand right now. So basically, Epic went and filed this preliminary injunctive relief, is what it's called right there, and we now have the results of that. And it went again exactly as I was expecting it. Epic basically won, at least the temporary restraining order. They don't expect to win the Fortnite thing. That Fortnite case is going to take weeks, months, years, or someone is going to have to blink first and back down. So that one was expected to go for a long time. But the Unreal Engine thing, that one was basically decided temporarily in Epic Games' favor. So while this is all being litigated, Unreal Engine is pretty much going to continue as it stands. And that's perfect news for game developers. Game developers, essentially, this means right now you are not being impacted by this feud if you are using Unreal Engine, which is great to hear. So basically, the discovery or the decision was made by Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers, decided that Apple will not be required to bring Fortnite, which it had banned, back to the App Store. Court finds that with respect to Epic Games' motion as to its games, including Fortnite, Epic has not yet demonstrated irreparable harm. The current predicament appears of its own making. Basically, self-inflicted gunshot wound. You're not being able to sell your product on the App Store because you violated the App Store. Said Epic strategically chose to breach its agreement with Apple and thus disturb the status quo. And this is 100% the case. Epic, I don't think would argue this. They chose to violate their contract. Now, the entire idea behind Epic Games' approach is that that contract is invalid, and that's what they are fighting in court. So we've seen all kinds of people saying it's clear cut. Apple is the winner here because Epic broke their contract. Well, what Epic is ultimately saying is, no, 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 this contract is invalid, and so we broke it, as a natural recourse. So that lawsuit is going to continue. But the key part of the decision here, in terms of the injunction relief, Rogers wrote, maintaining the status quo is also why she's ruled that Apple can't cut off access to the Unreal Engine right now. There, it was Apple who had chosen to act severely by impacting both third-party app developers as well as Epic's reputation by threatening the Unreal Engine. Epic Games and Apple are at liberty to litigate against each other, but their dispute should not create havoc to bystanders. Originally, Epic Epic claimed Apple had intended to cut its Epic additional developer accounts this Friday, August the 28th, rendering it unable to support the Unreal Engine on iOS, also on macOS, by the way, for those 7 people doing that. Rogers agreed with Epic that there is potential significant damage to both the Unreal Engine platform itself and to the gaming industry generally, and suggested that Apple would have a hard time arguing that Epic won't be harmed if Unreal Engine developers abandon their project because Epic can no longer support them on Apple platforms. Sorry. Ahead of the ruling, Judge Rogers had already indicated that she had more swayed by the apparent threat to Unreal Engine. I am not inclined to grant relief with respect to the games, but I am inclined to grant relief with respect to the Unreal Engine. I got to say, personally, this judge nailed it. I 100% agree with both decisions. I think that Epic, made their bed where they're going with Fortnite. Totally makes sense. There shouldn't be an injunction there. Let that one litigate in court. But Epic retaliating against Unreal Engine and the Unreal Engine user base, that was a gross overstep. And to that, the judge seems to agree as well. Now, an interesting thing playing out in all this is Epic is picking up momentum. What they need is enough people to pile on Apple, enough people to be sick of Apple's business practices and other other IT, to just get sick of that stuff and then that's sort of seeing what we're seeing here is first off, Phil Spencer, the head of the Xbox team, did this public tweet. Today, we filed a statement in support of Epic's request to keep access to the Apple SDK for its Unreal Engine. Ensuring that Epic has access to the latest Apple technology is the right thing for gamer developers and gamers. So that is Xbox coming out in support, or Microsoft officially throwing their support behind Epic in this one on the Unreal Engine side of things, not on the Fortnite side of things, obviously, because don't forget, Microsoft has their own walled gardens in the form of the Windows Store and in the form of Xbox Live. So they're not necessarily liking this litigation happening, but the fact that Apple retaliated and went after Unreal Engine users, yeah, that part they're not in favor of. Now, in terms of the store side of things, we've got a bunch of other companies basically coming out and saying, "Hey, wait a minute, this is crap." So we got the New York Times, Washington Post asking Apple what it takes to get their fees cut from 30% down to the 15% that Amazon currently paid. So you got a lot of people all of a sudden looking at that 30% fees and going, wait, this isn't fair. This isn't right. And if you get enough of the snowball going, more and more companies joining in, and we got another one in there in the form of Facebook. And Facebook directly violated the terms of service just like Epic did. So it'll be interesting where that will go. Now, at the same time, we've got another PR nightmare going on is Apple keeps shooting themselves in the foot. There's massive retaliation against Unreal Engine users, probably could be considered a shot to the foot. But also, while this was all going on, they yanked the WordPress app for not having in-app purchases. It was a free app that didn't sell anything. And then Apple came out and pulled it from the market and said, either you add in-app purchases that we get a cut from, or we are not selling your app. It wasn't a good move. It wasn't well timed, but it was more of why people are getting fed up with Apple. Now, interestingly enough, they actually backed down on this one and they issued an apology. So the WordPress thing kind of turned in the favor of WordPress, but we've seen more and more and more app developers. We had a mail app just a couple weeks ago, basically getting hit by the arbitrary or dictatorial approach of Apple. On top of that, we had the Microsoft xCloud being blocked. We had Steam Cloud being blocked in the past. And this is on top of all of their other moves that are kind of anti-developer, such as dumping of OpenGL, forcing of signing of apps, they just kind of keep going and going, in all honesty. The world is sort of just kind of, it's this little snowball that Epic started is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So even if they don't ultimately win the lawsuit, I think they could still win the ultimate battle here against. Now, I hope it's not a kind of a compromise thing where Epic Games gets 20% or 15% instead of 30, because I don't think Epic is actually in it just for themselves. I think they are actually trying to make a systemic change to the approach here. So it will be interesting to see where this all lands out. But this is a really interesting round two. This judge, I have nothing but respect for the decision she came to. The fact that she continued to block Fortnite, I'm 100% in agreement there. And I think, again, all parties actually are as well, if they're realistic about it. But also that they think that Epic overstepped in attacking Unreal Engine users. I agree with that as well. And ultimately, this ruling works in the favor of game developers. And really, at the end of the day, that's all I care about. I don't really care about Fortnite. I don't really care about Apple's App Store for the most part. I care about developers. And today, developers won. All right, that's it. I will talk to you all later.